20 unusual animals that saved human lives. Animals are our best of friends, and there are some you will want to get close to. They are actually a great company. They give us lots of positive emotions and feelings. The people that own them will testify for their amazing attributes. Some of them are really brave enough to go as far as risking their own lives to save a person, which is called bravery. Our pets can really become lifesavers just by being there for us at a particular point in life. You have a stressful day and then your pet is right there to look at you with their adorable happy faces. And when humans find themselves in terrible real-life danger moments, these animals step up and serve as their lifesaver and act like real-life superheroes. If you're new here to our channel, don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a big thumbs up because today we will be sharing 20 unusual animals that save human lives. Number 1. Khan the Doberman. Khan is actually just a new pet that recently moved to his new family only for days, and he was reported to have saved the life of the little girl Charlotte in that house. While watching the two of them as they played in the yard, Charlotte's mother Catherine was shocked to see how Khan had become aggressively towards the tyke. She was even more appalled when she saw Charlotte being picked up by her diaper and tossed behind. She came for Charlotte, and after making sure that she was alright, she discovered that Khan had actually been bitten by a snake, and that the snake was just inches away from the little girl Charlotte before the little pet intervened. If it had not actually struck the child, the result would have been fatal. Luckily, Khan was there to help and acted fast. He had saved the little girl's life. Khan was able to recover after being given an anti-venom treatment. Number 2. Winnie the Wonder Cat. A family was saved in 2007 by a smart tabby cat. The cat saved the whole family, Kathy, Kisling, and her husband, including their teenage son, from carbon monoxide poisoning. It shows that there was a water pump in their basement. This water pump malfunctioned and created a leak in the middle of the night. Winnie was the first to sense a change in air and immediately rushed to Kisling's bed to wake her up. At the time she got up, her husband and her son were already so unconscious before she could gather the strength to call 911. She succeeded to call 911, and then her family was saved from the disaster that would have followed them if Winnie was not there. Number 3. A whole bunch of dolphins. We hear of dolphins saving human life almost every day, but this particular case of the surfer Todd aired this case. Todd was out in the ocean trying to catch some waves when he instead got caught in the jaws of a great white shark. He described the whole situation as trying to fight a big car. He said after a series of struggles, he gave up on himself, but this group of dolphins came out from nowhere and created a wall behind him and the beast shark. This allowed him and his friends to swim back to the shore. He explains that he got out of the waters really wounded since he was struggling with the shark all by himself. He says being saved by those dolphins made him very happy, being just given a second time to life. Number 4. Dory the Rabbit. Simeon Stoegel's wife is an ambulance driver who was trained to take fast and quick and life-saving cases to the hospital. It was not the case in her home. It was his rabbit that saved him once in 2004 on the fateful day his wife was very busy in the kitchen while he was in the sitting room watching a TV program. It so happened that he dozed off in front of the TV. It appeared like he was sleeping, whereas that was not the case. He was under a diabetic attack and was unable to make a noise. Dory was the first to understand what was happening to him, and thus he started fidgeting on his chest for a while. Victoria moved on to the sitting room and noticed the changes. She even tried to lift him up herself but could not do it, so she called 911 and they brought help immediately. Number 5. Pod of porpoises. Dick Van Dyke is an actor who explains how he was saved by a group of porpoises. He said even beloved artists also needed help too. He was lying on his surfboard one day when he accidentally dozed off. He slept so much that he went far into the oceans. After a long period of sleeping, he floated so much out of the waves that he could not even just get a bit of the shore. He was really terrified at that point that he accepted that he needed help. While he was attempting to paddle, there appeared some things in water that looked like fins. He looked closer and saw that they were actually fins. He feared the worst was going to happen to him. Instead of sharks emerging from the water, he says they were a group of porpoises that were of good importance to his life at that moment. They kindly pushed him back to the beach where he found his way home and was really thankful to the animals. Number 6. Mandy the Goat. An old Australian farmer by name Noel Osborne, aged 72 years, is the one who testified about Mandy the Goat. He says it was one morning he was trying to attend to his animals and he mistakenly slipped on manure outside his house. It may actually sound like the beginning of a hilarious slapstick sketch. It was just anything he says, but for a man who had a broken leg. He suffered a broken hip and was unable to move. He He was unable to move from his stinky situation for a period of 5 days, and he was hoping and praying that someone will find him. In the 5 days he had hoped for someone to find him, he actually survived them, all thanks to his goat. Mandy curled up with him most of the nights and even allowed him to drink his milk as food. Mandy the goat was Mr. Noel's savior for those few days. Number 7. Binti Hua the gorilla. During the end of the summer in 1996, a 3-year-old boy was so curious and he decided to climb the fence of the gorilla enclosure at the book field. It was actually a zoo. On trying to climb, he fell 18 feet to the surface below him. The keepers of the zoo were actually so scared that terrible creatures in there would do their worst on him. This fear came in because he went unconscious the moment he fell, so he could not get up to find his way out. Instead, the gorilla called Binti carefully cradled the boy and brought him out of the area. Binti brought him to the enclosure's entrance, and from there, EMTs swiftly took over from Binti. All that time he cradled with the little boy, his own baby rested on his back all the time. Number 8. 3 lions. Wow, how can a lion even be of help to a human being? That is a question that left everybody's mouth wide open after what happened to this 12-year-old Ethiopian girl. The Ethiopian girl was kidnapped from her own village by abductors. She was kept under hostage for days. She was actually being abused for a whole week by the 4 men who adopted her from her village. She cried and prayed for help for days, and I guess she was answered. She was answered in a crazy and suspicious way. Lions were the ones that intervened in this situation. 3 lions from nowhere appeared and chased these 4 men away. Policemen arrived soon after the men were chased away, and they were amazed at what they saw. The 3 big cats were actually still there to protect the girl from being harmed. They freely released the girl to them without protest, and also the men who captured her were captured and taken into police custody. Number 9. Penny the Labrador. The girl who testified about this animal is called Brenda Owens. She says she was taking her pup Penny for a lunchtime walk along the shores in St. Ataf. While there, they noticed something so unusual in the water. They noticed a wheelchair and got terrified. While still standing there with no idea on what to do, an unresponsive woman was there. She was bobbing nearby, and without having anything else to do, Owen simply asked her pup to go around and fetch, and then Penny respectively followed her orders, and with immediate effect. Penny jumped into the water and dragged this unresponsive woman out of the water to a safety place where she received help thanks to Owen's Penny. Number 10. Chi-Chi the Chihuahua. Winner of Reader's Digest Hero Pet of the Year in 2009, this pampered pooch became a doggy David Hasselhoff when he went for a vacation with his human Rick and Mary Lane. They went for vacation at the North Carolina's Indian Beach. While they were enjoying a lazy afternoon, he was lying on his very own beach chair when the pooch suddenly began barking in an unusual way his parents had not heard before. They were all very frightened, and he dragged his chair, of which was now leashed, towards the waves. Then they saw where the problem was coming from and why the pooch was barking so loud. 2 elderly women were actually in danger of being swept away by an impending riptide. One of the women had already fallen, and the other smaller one was trying to help her out. The Lanes immediately went to assist her and help the other woman, and when they finally succeeded in helping them out, they all returned to find Chi-Chi already fast asleep after saving lives. Number 11. Ning Nong the Elephant. An elephant too is an animal that shocked many and left mouths open. It was in 2005 when an elephant was of great help to humans. 8-year-old Amber Manson was on a vacation with her family in Thailand. She suddenly became best of friends with the 4-year-old elephant. She enjoyed walking around with the elephant, and she would take rides with the elephant at any chance she got. On the last day of their trip, very early in the morning, she decided to have one last ride with her elephant. She then rushed down to the beach for one more ride when a sudden tsunami struck. This girl had her luck that day. The waves would have crushed her if not because she was safely resting on the back of her body, the elephant. The elephant rushed her to the top of the beach where her mother was so happy she was unharmed by the waves, all thanks to the big elephant. Number 12. Willie the Parrot. The girl Megan knew her parrot Willie was one of many words, one of its kind, some of them more colorful than the others, but this was the gift she had that saved her roommate's 2-year-old daughter. This incident happened when one day when her roommate stepped into the bathroom only for a moment, Megan suddenly heard the parrot saying words like mama baby, mama baby. This actually surprised her because these were 2 words she had not heard her string together before. She hurriedly went out to find the toddler choked. She was choking on some food at the time she went into the bathroom. Thank God the alert came just on time when she was able to save this little girl's life. Number 13. Deer saves woman from an unidentified man. Sometime in February 2012, a woman whose name was not gotten was saved by a deer. She was supposed to attend a party that night, and it so happened that she left around 1 a.m. Suddenly, a man grabbed her as she was walking towards the field. This man hit her and also tried to seize her purse from her before dragging her into the field. Fortunately for her, a deer was actually sleeping in the field that night. The deer just got disturbed by the noise coming from around him, and that is the reason the deer woke up from sleep just to find the woman in trouble. The deer, on the other hand, had to flee the scene, and upon fleeing, the man heard the noise and was also scared. He fled as well, leaving the woman all alone in the field. The woman, without hesitation, went back to the party, and from there she called 911, but unfortunately she was unable to identify and describe the man because it was really dark and she was just struggling to save herself. Number 14. 8 dolphins rescue a lifeguard from shark. It was on October 20th, 2004 when it all happened. Lifeguard Rob Howes and his 3 teenage lifeguards, with his daughter inclusive, were swimming in the ocean beach. They were actually sleeping when they were suddenly surrounded by 8 dolphins. The dolphins did not just round them up, they were actually closing up and making sure they were all together. Howes and one of the lifeguards tried to drift away from the others when one of the dolphins actually followed them. Then, at that point, Howes was curious and wanted to find out what was happening. He then went underwater to see why, and it was then that he discovered that a white shark was swimming around them. At that point, he understood what was happening. The dolphins were protecting them from the shark. He did not want to tell the others what was going on for fear that it was going to startle them. A lifeguard who was watching from the shore saw everything, took to really see for himself too why the dolphins were there. He saw the shark too. The dolphins remained there for almost 40 minutes until the shark left. Then they were let out of the ocean by the dolphins. It is said that dolphins are fond of protecting humans and other sea animals from sharks. They often attack the shark just when they feel that they are in trouble. Number 15. Kilo the pit bull. Staten is the man that can testify for what happened. He says that he has his pup to thank for his life when an intruder attempted to break into his house one precious evening. He says that the man appeared as one of the delivery guys and then he tried to shove himself into the house. He tried to do it right in the door. People can be incredible. The two of them, that is Becca and Kilo, jumped into action. Becca on the other hand was trying to lock up the door while Kilo was attempting to bite the intruder. At that time when the man wreaked himself free, he actually let out a shot from his gun. This was aimed at Becca, but instead the gun hit Kilo in the skull and ricocheted through his neck. This intruder managed to escape the scene, and after everything had calmed down, Kilo was taken for medical attention where he received treatment and recovered. Number 16. Mila the beluga whale. This whale was of help to Yang Yun. She took part in a contest that required diving very deep to the bottom of the 20 feet deep pool. It was required that when you dive, you remain in the 20 feet deep pool for some time, and the aim was to see who will stay submerged for longest time. They were expected to stay like that without any breathing equipment. She knew she was in for a struggle, but when she emerged from the waters, things got even more difficult than she thought because of her leg cramps. She struggled on her own for some time, but it wasn't easy. She was at the verge of losing hope when one of the whales observing the competition gave her a lift from the bottom of the pool, saving her from drowning. Number 17. Honey the Cocker Spaniel. Michael Bosch went through a heart surgery and really needed company. He wanted to stay active while he completed recovery from the wounds. He then adopted his pup, following what he wanted for himself, and she was just the perfect companion he ever wanted, and even in more ways than he expected. One day, they were backing out of the home's hilly driveway. The worst thing they expected happened. He and Honey suddenly found themselves toppling down the hill, and they landed upside down in a nearby ravine. Bosch, who was still trying to recover, was completely trapped and he was seriously injured as well. He managed to coax Honey out of one of the already shattered windows. He waited for hours and he was just hoping that Honey had found her way home safely when suddenly his neighbor appeared. His neighbor said an anxious Honey had been waiting on his doorstep when he arrived home that evening. She had refused to go when he asked her to do so, so he decided to find out what Honey was up to. Number 18. Kerry Gold the horse. Spending time in the farm can really be exciting and adventurous. One day, things got a little bit too heart-pumping for Scottish farmer Fiona Boyd when she was attempting to relocate a dairy cow. She actually wanted to relocate the cow and her half-calf to a different paddock. We know how cows can be very aggressive when it comes to their babies. While trying to do so, the territorial mom began attacking her, rushing up to her and pushing to the ground. She was frustrated at that point, and just when the farmer was about to give up, she thought she was about to be smashed by the very big mama, her horse intervened. Her horse Kerrygold mashed up and kicked the cow away. Number 19. Toby the Golden Retriever. One afternoon, a woman called Debbie Pankhurst was sitting outside her compound enjoying a nice apple snack when she began to choke from it. She was alone at home and she did not know what to do. She then remembered to try the Helmich maneuver on her own to herself. Suddenly, her pup stepped up to save the day. Toby knocked her over her back and then she started to pounce on her chest. Soon, before she knew it, her airways were free from the obstacle. She says that even though she suffered a few bruises from the force, she is indeed very grateful that the sweet little boy was there just in time to save her. Number 20. Lulu the Pot-Bellied Pig. One day, Alt's man agreed to look after her daughter's pot-bellied pig. It happened to be that instead of her looking after the pig, it was instead the pot-bellied pig that looked after her. It so happened that this woman suffered from a heart attack when no one was home, just her and the pot-bellied pig. Her husband was out on a fishing trip. When she collapsed, it was only Lulu that was there on her aid, so Lulu saved the day. The pig managed to squeeze herself through the door. Lulu even got a lot of bruises in the process. The pig squeezed herself through the door and went straight to the road. The pig managed to stop traffic by lying down on the middle of the road. Then a man who understood some weird behaviors of some animals decided to follow the pig to its home and just in time to rescue Altman. It is actually reassuring to know that we have animal friends that got our backs. Knowing you have animals that will be there for you just when you need them the most. We have heard of pets saving their owners. The case with a wild animal saving a total stranger is what really leaves a lot of questions unanswered. However, some animals save lives not on purpose. Some happen just as coincidences, but for some, their motivation is still to be gotten. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing content.